this is like the place where I find my serenity. Because every time I have like something that I could not sort out myself, and I find my situation very hard to cope with. Then when I'm here, then I'm surrounded by the nature, and I can feel the love of God uh, coming through towards me. I think I was in the relationship for 18 years, and then like most of the women, I have difficulty recognize them. I'm in that state. Um, I think there are many reasons why we cannot see ourselves in that position. In some way, we dissociate ourselves with other people's story. Um, I think from day to day, like very often we just on a survival mode. So we focus on how to get over the day, and generally our abuser could be quite controlling in a sense that like our days are filled with a lot of chores. So looking back, there weren't a lot of time that I could like sit down and think about my own situation.
I guess the similar things you might hear from women are the similar warning signs they all may have got really early on in the relationship, and then they've realised halfway through that this is abusive, but then they're stuck. So I hear that over and over in counselling sessions with clients that I've had. That's all the, and the recurring theme is that they don't have a high amount of self-esteem. So they're basically, it's like chipped away during the relationship. And so by the time they get to the point where they want to leave, they don't feel confident in themselves to be able to parent on their own or to live on their own and that kind of thing. So that's a recurring theme, so low self-esteem. And I would say fear of their partner. And whether their partner's been physical or not physical. Fear of taking control of their finances when they do leave, or fear of leaving her with nothing or taking her children away, that kind of thing.
Because family violence isn't just committed via a violent act physically. It can be done financially, so holding finances against a spouse, for instance, or against a spouse, just simply denigrating the other party. Anything that's going to cause apprehension or fear in a person or a member of the family is sufficient.
Women kind of get stuck in this circular kind of phase where it becomes like the build-up phase. So women get stuck with men who kind of, they remember experiences, or they kind of keep tabs on what the woman is doing not quite right in their mind, and it's that build-up of like frustration that the perpetrator may have. And then there's the kind of reaction or like physical phase, or where they then perpetrate some kind of violence, whether it be like the emotional type or physical, whatever it is, because they've built up all this anger or this frustration, and then they choose violence. And then the end phase, I guess, is like the honeymoon phase, where they then are like, I'm really sorry, they buy gifts, they say they never do it again, and then it goes around, because then the woman thinks, okay, it's over, it won't happen again, and women can get caught, unfortunately, in that kind of like vicious cycle.
Basically, every month he had to find an excuse for an outburst to relieve himself. He apologized at first for his action, and then later on he didn't even apologize. He will try to compensate by being nice to the kids.
And you never know, I guess, how people react when they have told, if they've told other people, and they're like, you know, people might say, well, you're so silly for staying with him, or why didn't you leave earlier? And then it just perpetuates that feeling of, oh my gosh, I've made a huge mistake. Or that shame of like, I shouldn't tell anyone that I've been in this terrible situation, but there are all these factors keeping her or him there.
I think the hardest one is actually losing your friends and family, because like the abuser tends to be quite manipulative. So their story seems more reasonable to others than yours. And for majority of us, like when we are in the relationship, we don't disclose anything to others, just to preserve the family. And so we tend to put a different face like when we socialize with others. So when we started to disclose what was happening behind the door, um, most people could not believe us. He was okay at first. Then when we went to bed, uh, he pulled off his t-shirt and started to whack me on the face. I guess like for him to had an outrage, he had to have a reason for it. So he always tried to got me into a position that I was defensive. Um, then he will find a reason to justify his action afterward.
An intervention order is, if you like, it sets a boundary or a fence, if you like, around someone's behaviour. So it stops, or it certainly seeks to stop certain behaviour occurring against a particular person. So in terms of an intervention order, whether it be personal safety or a family violence intervention order, it can stop offending behaviour to occur.
About 10% of the men will ignore the order. So, like it or not, even though like it's 10% possibility, the majority of us will think we will be attacked anyway. Like we would make him even angrier by doing that. So I really struggled at that time, but eventually the court system, like it or not, like some people experience are really bad. But I found the magistrate court more understanding. Uh, the family court is very, very harsh towards the victim.
It's not till, I think, that you get that community corrections order or that term of imprisonment that people really start to feel how real it is if you were to breach that order. So is it effective? I think as a whole it is, but it has its problems as well. Someone who's hell-bent on committing that family violence probably still will.
He turned his like victim mentality to be the one who is in control. So he started to be quite abusive towards me. For me, it's like threatening to hurt me. So I have to again call the police. It was like quite a nasty situation.
It's making sure, I think, you've got that open communication or that connection there for them to know you are there when they're ready. Because a lot of counselling clients that I've had, they won't say that they've been in a domestic violent relationship right at the start until we've built rapport, maybe like 3-4 times, and then when they start to say scenarios, they actually then reflect that back and be like, oh, actually that's not quite right, is it? Or that's abusive. So when I said I was doing counselling here with domestic violence, my family was in shock because they were like, oh, really, is that kind of stuff happening, or is that out there? So I don't think we talk enough about it in our own kind of personal bubbles.
It did take a lot of courage to leave, but I could only tell you after all I have done, even though the recovery was very difficult, it is worth it.